Exit Wounds is a deep recounting of the experiences and realities of Black men in today's world. It is shown how social stereotypes have repressed Black men by creating invisible and irreparable wounds that last a lifetime, and which leads us questioning the balance between what is seen as justice and social imbalance. The socially entrenched prejudices have a significant impact on the self-esteem, motivation, and pride of Black men. So please join my co-host Chris and I, and our welcome guest Daryl Barnes from All Things Black Podcast, therapist Earnell McGaney, as we embark on this 5-part miniseries from a Black man's perspective on how the world looks at us through the looking glass. Welcome to Wounds. It's a miniseries with Through the Looking Glass, and I just wanted to this is an excerpt about just brothers getting together talking about different types of subjects. I'm gonna let everyone introduce themselves as they go around. Let us know how you guys can be looked up and where you're from and what you're doing right now. How you feeling? Introduce yourselves. Let's start off with Chris.
Yeah, my name is Chris. I'm one of the co-hosts for Through the Looking Glass.
Hey, my name is Earnell McGaney. I'm not really on social media a whole lot. You might not find me there too much, but I'm a counselor by trade. If you do want to find me, you can find me on Psychology Today. Just look at my name, Earnell McGaney, and you can find me there.
I'm Daryl. I am the host and producer of the All Things Black podcast. Of course, you can catch that on Apple Podcasts, any of the streaming platforms. And I do have somewhat of a social media presence, but I'm rarely on there. But I'm just excited to see where this miniseries is going. And I thank you guys so much for considering me to be on this panel.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. I'm glad to have you guys, man. I'm glad y'all accepted the little challenge with me and myself. So looking forward to talk about some things, especially we're going to talk about brotherhood tonight. And just want to get you guys expert. What do you think what brotherhood is to you guys? We just go, man. We just going to talk it out, chop it up, whatever. We start off. Daryl, start us off, man.
Brotherhood, I'll start out with, I believe is a quote. And that, because I read quite a bit, but I read Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he said basically, you want for your brother what you want for yourself. So brotherhood essentially is allowing yourself to, of course, not be envious, jealous of your brother when you see your brother successful, because his success is essentially your success, and you want to be able to learn from that success. Also, brotherhood is peace. Brotherhood is knowing that I can allow myself to be myself and my brother not do anything to foil, my peace, right? I can allow my brother in my home and he's not going to try to advance on my wife, or he's not going to try to take anything from my house, my personage, or anything like that. So essentially brotherhood is just that. It's a bonding. It's men sharpening men as steel sharpens steel. And we are collective in the sense that we are the ones that are supposed to be the providers and maintainers and protectors of the community. And we can essentially do that when we come together as a collective in a very cohesive manner with like minds, even though perspectives and opinions may be a little bit different, but we can essentially do that in a very cooperative manner, knowing that we are a full unit and a full body. So I'll just end there.
Okay. Hey, that's hard to follow right now. But Earnell, what you got?
You know what? I agree with everything he said, but I'm also going to add in, like he mentioned that, steel sharpens steel or iron sharpens iron. I think that part of brotherhood is lost to a lot of us because we just see the support side. I'm going to ride for you no matter what. But for also tied into that, for me, brotherhood is about accountability. Don't just ride for me and boost my head up. Tell me when I'm wrong. Hold me accountable. Be the one, risking to be ostracized because, you didn't follow the crowd and you said, hey, you know what, I'm not doing this. You're wrong for this.
Okay.
We need that more so than, hey, I'm going to ride for you no matter what. That's cool. If I'm doing something dumb, I don't need you to ride for me. I need you to correct me. I need you to call me out on it. Lead me in the right direction when I'm not going that route. So For me, a big part of brotherhood is accountability and being able to hold each other accountable.
What you got for us, Chris?
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to add too, far as the accountability and just being able to hold one another to the same standards and not just letting something slide and just saying, hey, I'm going to just mind my own business. And if you know, like I can talk for me personally, like I said, I have a small circle that I run with. And like we all talk about certain things, and it's all about, hey, look, man, making sure you handling your business. And if it's a situation where one of us we aren't doing what we're supposed to do, it's nothing for somebody to come check you and just be like, hey, look, man, you know you need to tighten up. And then you was dead wrong, or even though you might be right, but the way you went about it was the wrong way. And I know, like I said, as far as the guys that I hang with, they, like I said, they have no problem checking me. I have no problem checking them. And like I said, sometimes we get together and then we might say, hey, look, man, such and such, you might be kind of slipping. So might need to go talk to them, and just having those little talks with each other like that and being able to have that communication.
Okay, so I heard some good things, especially like the iron sharpens iron, the accountability and things like that, and how we should, be able to respect each other's space and, saying like respecting our home. Like when I allow you to invite you into my home, I want you to respect, what's in my home, whether it be my wife, my children, any family member that I want you to show the same respect that I show you. I want to get it back. You know what I'm saying? But as far as us as black men in our black society, which, we want to focus on because we want to help our people to be more, help us to be more than what we are, to the day, because Earnell was saying we lost on some of this, and we don't understand, what it means to be in a brother. I just want to talk about, what does that look like? If we said what we think it is, but how do we get there? What's the mindset? What does that look like? In your opinion? I mean, for me, it's just it's a conglomerate of what everybody just said. It's just it mirrors each other. Everybody wants to be, you be like each other. If we all in this group together, us four, then I expect you to check me if I say something wrong. And, if I'm disrespecting something that you said, I expect you to pull me to the side and let me know. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's what brotherhood is, as far as like that, in my opinion.
First, there must be an example.
Mhm.
All of us can regurgitate, all of us can, information, all of us can express that, but it falls flat when there's no example. So there must be an example first. And in that example, one of the things that has to truly be, come from us, especially when we're, talking about checking each other, because sometimes we can be a little hard. And in certain situations, the hardness is warranted. But at the same time, there has to be the hardness has to be coupled with a degree of love. And a lot of times black men don't know what real love looks like, right?
What's an example?
I mean, so let's say for instance, you can't come to somebody that's been hardened on the street, right?
No.
And then all of a sudden try to check them very stern and demeaning, stern manner, right? You necessarily can't do that. You have to pull them to the side, and then, you can be firm, right? And tell them that and letting them know that they're wrong, but you have to do it in a manner where they can, that's the first thing. So you just can't just readily just, try to beat the hell out of somebody and tell them how
Nah.
incorrect they were, right? Because it's not going to be received properly. So you have to be an example. Brother on the internet, man, he's been circulating. I forget his name, but he's excellent. He's a business owner, bald head brother, gray beard, martial artist.
Okay.
And he's an example of that. So again, being an example first and foremost, and letting the other people in the brotherhood see that you are that example, right? And I'm talking about in all phases, letting them see that you're that example. Then it becomes a lot easier for you to, kind of admonish or correct somebody because they see you're that example. I can't tell you to straighten up if I'm a hypocrite.
Exactly.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
I can't do that.
I hear you. I mean, it's like you got to lead by example. If I'm not being the man I need to be, how can I teach somebody else to be who they need to be? You know what I'm saying? If I'm not doing the right thing. I mean, because, with brotherhood, you just got to think. I mean, in our society, it's a lack of it. And it's hard to, because, work, I have a long history of working in group homes and facilities, and I work with young Black men a lot. And, with that point, it gets lost, man. They don't understand, they don't do the yes, sir, the no, sir. They don't, it's hard. And you got to come to their level to understand where they come from first in order to help them to get to that point to where they respect you and want to learn from. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, being an example or role model. You want to add on that?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say now, as far as the role models, I think that's where nowadays where that brotherhood has gotten away from, because everything is a competition. Where let's say you got the four of us, we all competing against one another, and then for me to get ahead, I got to step on y'all. Versus, I would say like with my dad and uncles, what I saw from them growing up was them always working together to get that common goal, and then they would all kind of share each other wins. So it's like, hey, if one person was winning, they all were winning. And I know, as far as me being in that type of environment growing up, seeing those male figures and mentors on a day-to-day basis, that's what I saw. And I think what has happened is where you have a lot of guys who grew up and didn't have any of those day-to-day male figures in their life. It doesn't even have to be a dad. It can just be an uncle, a teacher, a next door neighbor, anything like that. Nowadays, you don't have that. And it's like everybody's in their own little bubble. And then also by you being your own bubble, hey, look, man, I just want to build up my empire, if you want to call it that. I want to build up that, and just everything else, hey, man, it don't affect me. When in actuality, it's the complete opposite. Because if you my neighbor, what you do to your yard and your house is going to affect my house as far as the value of my house, if you want to look at that aspect right there. So I don't know how, because we've gotten so far away from that.
That's what I want you to.
I don't know how. Well, I don't know what we can do to get back to that.
So what does it look like today? What does that look like today? I mean, anybody.
It's just all division and individuality.
So that's what you feel
But
like.
it's like, hey, I'm just going to get mine.
Honestly, I feel like it's more like not even individual anymore. It's just a whole bunch of followers, like a whole bunch of sheep. Like we're herd animals. I see old boy over here doing this. I'm gonna get in a dope game like him, like everybody else. In order to be a role model and, like you said, be that role model for these kids or for anybody really, you got to be comfortable with yourself and be comfortable with being alone. Be a role model. 90% of the time, you're going to have that unpopular opinion. Now, man, don't do drugs. Don't sell the drugs. Unpopular opinion. Go get a regular job. Unpopular opinion. You got to be comfortable with the fact that you're probably going to be alone. And that fear of being alone, because as people, we don't want to be alone. That fear drives us to, kind of go with the crowd, kind of be, so we can be included. That looks like, trying to teach these young men that, hey, you know what, it's okay not to be part of the crowd and be that example, but also teach them, hey, wise counsel can come from anybody.
That's true.
Like I tell kids, just because a crackhead tells you not to use crack, yeah, he's a hypocrite, but is he wrong?
Yeah,
that's true. He ain't wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he ain't wrong. I mean, he's a hypocrite, definitely, but he ain't wrong. That ain't something you want to do. So sometimes you got to learn to look past that and just accept the wise counsel from wherever it comes from and swallow that pride.
Because I can speak personally. I think I've had growing up more people that, like, people would say they were a negative mentor, but to me it was positive, because even though they weren't doing things the right way, they would tell me, hey, don't do that. And I'm like, you doing that? I remember being at the cookout. So I'm in my early 20s, I'm sipping drinks, and my uncle, he's slurring his words, talking to me, telling me that I need to put the drink down. And I'm like, dude, you toe up right now. And he was like, look, man, I'm just telling you, like, this ain't what you want to do. You can be better than this. And like I said, just talking to different people and having that, just getting that advice, where it's like, it's one thing to have people tell you to do the right thing, but when they're telling you to do the right thing because they've basically done it a certain way and failed at it, So it's like, hey, look, man, learn from my mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes I did.
And as far as brotherhood, yeah, I think I agree with Earnell. What he was saying is it's a bunch of followers. We're not, everybody wants to be on the same bandwagon, want to do the same thing and try to get the same goal, but nobody wants. It's kind of like when you do have to get along, do have to be by yourself. That's truly, I feel like that's where you find your brotherhood at. When you and those people that call and check on you, and it's just like I see guys. I see this meme all the time. Cut off all. Isolate yourself. Do it for 6 months. Get out there and just do you, and and you'll learn who for you and who against you, and who's with you. And, as far as your brotherhood, and as far as like getting together, and who's for you on that. As far as like that, with the brotherhood, as far as what is, we're talking about, being accountable. We're talking about iron sharpen iron. Talking about this. How do we try to implement this, in today's society? How do we do this? I mean, with us, because you got guys. I think about some of the situation where it's a lot of killing out there and a lot of beauty, as far as like between us black, with black killing, black and thing like that. And, it's just, okay. Example, what happened when the police officers jumped that guy and it was black officers, maybe one white officer? Was that a brotherhood, or, those guys, riding for their boy, for that one guy, man, for that.
I just think we've gotten to a place where we're no longer, because I'm a little bit, say seasoned. I'm a little bit aged. I'm like the cheddar cheese right now.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So I've experienced a few things. Yeah, there we go. And so coming up, being reared in community, now they're just really neighborhoods, but being reared in communities, that's exactly what it was. We looked out for each other. When somebody didn't have, the person that did have, either we or they came and made sure that person was taken care of. And even the children had a safer place growing up in those times, because, there were certain things that you couldn't do because Miss Johnson was looking out the window, right? Mm-hmm. And she would tell on you or whoever else it was that you were doing something inappropriate. We've gotten away from that sense of hard community. And right now we're only thinking, Earnell said it, and I believe Chris said it as well. We're just in a space of hyper individualism. Individualism is not bad. Mm-hmm. It's when it's hyper, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm the only thing that exists, and I exist outside of them or that community or that group. It's just me, right? And, in talking about the police officers, that's exactly what that was. They didn't see another brother. They didn't see another black man. They saw somebody that was outside of that system, and I'm not saying that system of belief, that a system of activity that they were in, right? So we don't see the connection. There's a connection between every last one of us. You have to find the connection. And if you're unwilling to find that connection and make that connection, you're always going to have what you have right now, which is that tribalism, that hyper individualism. And you always want to go against what should be, really natural. And the natural thing is that, we are a collective. I know a lot of people say black people are not a monolith. I get that. I understand that. But at the end of the day, we are a connection. We are connected to each other. And I like to tell people, when I leave outside the door, I know that I'm an extension of somebody else. So I try to present myself as good as possible outside of that connection, because I know that, that's possibly, here's my mother, here's my brother, here's my uncles, my aunts, things like that, right? So I'm a representative of that. And I just think when you continuously think hyper individualistically, you don't see that you're connected to the greater, right? That's a huge problem. And for me, it's just an educational piece. It's just being re-educated into the idea. And I know a lot of people like to headbutt, and they like to say, black people are not going to get it together. Yeah, you can. Yeah, we won't if you think that way. But it's just re-education, man. It's re-education, being authentic, being genuine when you talk to these people, being yourself. Don't try to put on, don't try to be performative, because we're so wise now, we're so smart now that we can pick up on that just with vibes. You don't necessarily even have to say anything. A person knows whether or not if you're authentic or not, if you're putting on a performance. And 9 times out of 10, because of social media and other things that we are consuming on a daily basis, a lot of us have learned to be performative than anything else, right? I'm gonna be in the end with the in crowd, so I'm gonna do what they do, but I'm gonna heighten it. I'm gonna go beyond, and I'm gonna, they smoking 10 blunts, I'm gonna smoke 100. You know what I'm saying? To put myself in it. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. And we don't have to do that. It's just, we don't have to do it. But again, it's to me, it's about re-education and just being authentic and very genuine and showing a degree of empathy, when you come across your people like that.
Yeah. Earnell, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that he said, we don't have that sense of community anymore. And he's right, because now if Mrs. Jones, tries to correct us, we kicking in Mrs. Jones' door, and now Mrs. Jones got a problem. So
nobody
that's gone.
Yeah,
nobody
listen to their elders like they used to.
They don't.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not calling nobody elders, because I got a little season on my age.
Listen, man, sorry to cut you off, but elder is one proud title that anybody should be willing to hold, because when you are a significant age on this planet, living through the hell that we're going through right now, listen, give me that title, Chief. Put it, I wear it as a badge of honor on my shoulders.
I'm living for it. I'm living for it.
So,
especially as a black man, you made it to be an elder.
Yes, sir.
That's it, man. I take my salt and pepper.
But what, back to what you said about those 2 police officers, you know what? You made a good point about the hyper individuality, because could they have stopped the other white officer? Yeah. But you know what? If I stop this other white officer, what about all the hell I'm going to catch back at the precinct once he tell everybody? Man, I don't want that for myself. This dude just going to take this beating.
That's it. But I think in that situation, it was majority black officers.
Yeah, I think it was what, 5 or 6 black officers.
It was 5.
It was 5.
And 1 white.
One white.
Oh, that's right. It was 1 white. Yeah.
1 white.
So even if they're the majority, if that 1 white officer goes back, hey, none of these guys participated. They ain't with us.
That's it.
But
that's it for them.
That shows the disconnect, though.
It does.
That shows the disconnect. Fine. You can wear whatever badge that you want to wear. At the end of the day, there's a common theme that runs through every last one of us, and that is our black experience, bar none.
That's right.
Bar none, right. So again, I'm connected. I might not be like, excuse my language, I might not be like those niggas, but in the greater scheme of the thing, I'm still a nigga. I don't care what accolades I hold. In the greater scheme of the thing, in the greater society, I'm still a nigga.
Exactly.
Right? So it's the common experiences that we have that should be binding us, number one. Now, again, you may not have experienced what I've experienced. You may not experience it to the degree I've experienced it, but you've experienced it in one form, fashion, or another. So it's the family, and I agree with you on now. We have been taught away from community, period. There's certain norms that we had, right? There's a certain culture that we had that you couldn't get around. We stopped teaching that. It was about go out into the world, get your bag, get your money, don't worry about anything else, get this, get that, and the third. But then what happened to manners? What happened to respect, right?
Yeah.
What happened to all of that? That was not taught. We stopped teaching that. And that's a huge problem,
You go
different generation now.
Yeah, and you go into
parents want to be friends.
Necessary. Everybody lives on that term, by any means necessary. Go get your bag. Go get your bag. You know what I'm saying? And it's no, that I'm saying, it's no respect, no manners, it's no, you got to put stuff in order to get stuff out. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be ratchet, run up, done up, you know what I'm saying? Just doing things out the ordinary, man. You got to have some type of level of respect or common knowledge, just to get through this society. But most people, they just on that by any means necessary, go get it. I mean, you can look at society today and see how a lot of these rappers have changed their persona once they got to a certain status.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, I asked Earnell a question. Now, I don't know what you said. You're a counselor, correct? I don't know what particular field. I mean, is it family counseling? Is it
I cover a wide range of my specialty. It's like in trauma and marriage counseling.
Okay, got you. So in your day-to-day work experience, because you did bring up something where you said, oh, I just skipped my thoughts just that quick. It was something that you said, and you said it when we're all talking, but I think it was again about community. When you're talking to your clients or your patients, out of those patients that you're talking to, do you see that sense of disconnect, and do they kind of even talk about community, or do they talk about certain things that I can't frame the question the way I want to, and I know I'm better than that, but anyway.
You good, man. We are.
Yeah, but I mean, in your day-to-day, what kind of conversations that is had to let you know that there is that complete disconnect? And then how is it that you try to bring it back to make people know that, hey, we are a community of Black people, very specifically, if I'm asking that right?
No, I got you. With the adolescents that I work with, a lot of them, they're just really focused on themselves. They're in a bad situation at home, and like you said, Markis, by any means necessary, I got to get out of this. They're not worried about Mrs. Jones, her correcting them. They just know I got to get out of this bad situation. So that's the trauma piece. What I do to try to correct that is I do what a lot of, their friends and sometimes what their parents don't even do. I tell them when they're wrong. I call them out on it and I hold them accountable. And they look at me like I'm crazy and they talk trash and I talk trash back. But once they see that, oh, he's not scared of me. He ain't backing down. He's actually holding me accountable. He's telling me I'm wrong. And then I give them reasons, why it's wrong and help them find other alternatives. Like, see things that they necessarily didn't think about. And over time, they kind of agree and come out of it. Now, doesn't mean they're not going to go back to their old habits. That seed that we planted may not take effect for another 5-10 years, but they have the seed. So that's how I try to work with them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, man. Because a lot of opportunities when you start doing the counseling stuff and start turning it over, and they start realizing that you are a friend, or they start looking at you as a role model, and you become a part of their community. They don't have that at home, man. They don't have it at home. A lot of stuff. I mean, because I used to deal with a lot of adolescents that, we'd be sitting in the circles, we'd be talking, chopping it up, and would just have these sessions with them, and they, they telling me they smoking weed with their parent. Like, why would you even do that? I mean, that's because he don't want me smoking with nobody else. I'm like, but is that any way to be? Is that what we teaching our kids now? If I don't allow them to do what they want to do, then they're gonna, go out and do something else. Or I'm gonna allow them to smoke with me or drink with me or something like that. And it's just society it's turned upside down, man.
It is. I feel like the day and age where, parents are parents and not friends is gone.
Oh yeah.
That's what
Mama would always say
that's
that.
what you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's what you
I'm
mentioned.
Mama, not your friend. I don't heard that so many times. I ain't one of your little friends.
That's what I'm saying. I ain't one of your little friends.
Yeah, I ain't not now.
I don't even think they say that no more.
They don't. Now I ate so many backhands. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, even the little kids.
Yes, sir.
That's it, man. They don't say that no more, man. They want to be in the club with their daughter.
Right. You're not lying.
Or they, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, your mama how old? And you how old? Why your mama ain't at the house? You know what I'm saying? What is the community like, man? But we can talk so much about that, man, on the Brotherhood and everything.
Yeah, so just the culture needs to be changed.
That's
culture needs to be changed.
That's it. The culture, the whole, just the whole mindset, man, of just transforming yourself into what it used to. You could take what it was and bring it back to modernize it, but put it in there because what happens is we're in an eco, and whatever you're raised in, that's what you're gonna get. That's where you're gonna get from. That's where you're gonna pull from. So if we're in that bubble and we pulling from, what we see on social media or what we see on on TV or anything like that. I don't even think anybody watches TV anymore. I got kids.
On
They
social
watch
media.
YouTube, man. They watch social media. I see glitter and all this other stuff. But you pulling from there. You pulling from there, and it's like, what are you learning? What type of people are we getting? We get more. It's not a community, and I think that's where the individuality comes from, because you're pulling from this single person that you're following or that whatever, and they just out here telling you. Depends on what you take in. Whether it's not, I'm gonna go for me, for what I know, or I'm help my brother get up. Because when I think about brotherhood, I think about he ain't heavy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Saying that I'm gonna lift him up regardless. I'm gonna bring that man up with me as long as he's willing to come up with me. So that's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about brotherhood. That's it. So, so I want everybody to be on the same page, and everybody to love each other, look out for each other, teach one another. Because if you got a skill and I need a skill, teach me your skill.
Right.
So I think I don't know the time on this thing, but we about to wrap this thing up. So we just go around and just kind of give your last remarks or what you think or how we should go about implementing this thing, or how if some like our listeners, how you think they should go about it, what you feel like what it is that needs to be addressed.
I think I'll go first.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to piggyback on what Chris said earlier. Like
Uh-huh.
for everybody, whatever your friend group is, whoever's in your friend group, you start to be that person that Chris mentioned. You be that person that starts checking people. And like Daryl said, do it in an appropriate way, maybe not in front of everybody, pull them to the side, but you start being that example in your friend group. Check who you need to check, correct who you need to correct, hold them accountable. And if it's the type of person that, hey, they want a buck back, they ain't with it, cool. You do your thing, but you continue to be that light with the rest of your friend groups, whoever who's open to it.
All right.
And I'll say that all of that was spot on. We definitely need to get back to a place where we pull each other's coattail. I think, for the most part, us as men, we do a pretty good job of that. But yeah, it needs to be done a lot more, and probably on a much greater scale now that we see, where everything is headed, especially with us as men and things like that. So I think it, just on a greater scale. The other thing I would add to it too is that, brotherhood is just not pulling coattail or anything like that. It's actually providing resources, like you already mentioned, because that will definitely help build community, when we provide resources. Because one of the things that I think we're missing as well is that, we haven't gotten to a place where in our community, we are providing the resources that are necessary to sustain that community. And that's the other thing,
true.
right?
That's true.
So you're talking about food, you're talking about clothing, you're talking about the things that are the necessities of life. So that needs to be established as well, instead of, one of the brothers trying to be the big dog in the group. At this point, hell with the big dog. If you're a big dog, it's going to show. But trying to force yourself to be the big dog and have everybody follow you, or maybe you want, the attention of the females and stuff like that. At this day and age, it's not necessary. We need to be, very collaborative towards each other, help each other out, provide resources. And again, like it was stated earlier, just learning how to be a genuine brother first before anything else.
End this out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna piggyback on as far as the sharing the resources that Daryl had talked about. I think a lot of times nowadays you have people that's like gatekeeping, or let's say you have, get a good job at a good place, you making decent money, able to provide, do this and that. So your homeboy, oh man, put me on at your job. Guys be like, oh, let me see what I can do. Where back in the day, it's like, look, man, they gonna work as hard as possible to get that person on, just to then now this is somebody else that can now live the same lifestyle as them, versus nowadays it's like, look, man, now I don't want you getting that I got. And it's all I'm saying, it's us putting, or a lot of us putting the gatekeeping on things and then just withholding out on those resources. That's what I'm saying. Basically it's almost that crab on, I wouldn't even call that the crab in the barrel mentality. It's almost like the reverse crab, where it's like I've made it out, where I'm just purposely just, you know what I'm saying, putting the lid on to keep you
Mm.
up.
Oh man, that's it. That's our time for this first episode of Exit Wound. And we're gonna sign off and tell everybody, just to listen in, and go back around. Tell them where they can reach you at again.
All right. So you can check me out on our website through the lookingglass.fans.
All right, Daryl.
Yes, sir. You can find me on All Things Black Podcast on all the streaming platforms. And you can reach me at tbpodcast.com. And there you can find quite a bit of information. I haven't done any recent episodes, but there are some there for people to partake of if they choose to. But again, man, this has been enjoyable. I always like having the conversations like this. And thank you guys for giving me something to feed on.
I appreciate it. No problem. Earnell, well, where can they reach your services at? Or do you have services to offer online or anything like that?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. A lot of my sessions now are, are telehealth, so they can always reach me online. Just go to Psychology Today, look me up, Earnell McGhaney, Earnell, McGhaney, McGhaney. You can find me there. And, speaking of iron sharpens iron, talking with you guys, I feel like I need to get my social media presence up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, we're gonna be back next week with another episode. Tune in. Chris, hit the record button, man.